Tabletops will start after the following messages.
Are you looking for something comfortable to wear and keep your brain warm while playing tabletop games? Daily Dose of Yarn makes handmade, customized beanies for all of your style and comfort needs. She can even help you with a custom beanie to represent your favorite character. Check out Daily Dose of Yarn on Instagram and Etsy to order your new favorite beanie today.
The world is electric with psychic energy, an interconnected web of memory and emotional echoes that only animals are able to perceive. Nowhere is that energy more powerfully present than in human trash. Psychic Trash Detectives is the first release from Scripted Games. In this collaborative tabletop role-playing game, players create their own psychic trash animals like raccoons and possums. They mine trash for psychic clues to solve a mystery plaguing their animal community. It is a game that absolutely reeks of radical self-acceptance and punk camaraderie. You can pledge Psychic Trash Detectives now on Kickstarter. Live fast, touch trash, solve mysteries.
Hey there everyone, this is Nick from Tabletop, and I have an awesome thing to share with you. Get ready to embark on an epic journey with a new TTRPG, Mythcraft. Mythcraft is the ultimate TTRPG system and universe brought to you by all of the folks at the Homebrew Network in partnership with Quasi Real Publishing. It has one of the most robust character creation systems I've seen on the market, and you as the player will have the power to design all the types of characters you've ever wanted to play in your dream campaign, and it has a huge narratively rich universe built into it. Choose from up to 14 lineages, 11 classes, countless occupation and profession options, and a ton of talents makes this game super customizable for whatever you're trying to do. It has endless intriguing and unique combinations to create a perfect hero, and the best part, you'll get new options for your character with a new talent point every level, so no more having to wait for that feat or to try to build something homebrew. This allows you to customize every single class on the fly. We'll need your support to make this happen. Sign up for the pre-launch update at mythcraftrpg.com and get ready to embark on a really amazing adventure. Mythcraft RPG opens on Kickstarter on March 15th, and you won't want to miss out on this thrilling journey, so you can do this. Go to mythcraftrpg.com and check out our feed, because we are going to be interviewing the creators of Mythcraft, and it's going to be super great, so keep an ear open for that as well. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tabletop. Today, we are returning to Under the Bed. We are going to deep dive a monster, and I did this one recently, and it was a lot of fun, so I brought it to my fabulous co-host, who's with me today.
Hi, I'm Franco.
Oh, man.
Shade.
Guys.
Shade. Jeez. Oh, jeez.
God damn it.
You did one job.
I'm Ian, or Franco, I guess.
A name that no one has ever heard on this podcast.
Yeah, Shade.
Yep.
Shade. He's using your true name. Now people can summon you.
Damn it.
I am Shadrach. Hello.
I get summoned too much already.
So if people didn't know, Shade and Franco are here. And today we are going to be talking about the Redcap. If people don't know, Redcaps are essentially like little murderous goblins. They have these big red hats on, and there's like a different type of lore based on their creation. Originally, they're Scottish creatures, and they sort of were found near the sites of wicked deeds or tyrannical, actions by rulers. So like if there was a culling or something like that, then the blood of the victims would essentially turn into these Redcaps that were murderous goblins that like to go out and kill people and then soak their hats in the blood of their victims. They're also known as Red Combs and the Bloody Cap, and they're also really fun because they're also in D&D and Monster of the Week and all that kind of stuff. So before we really get into it, have you guys ever heard of / played with Redcaps before?
Hell yes, absolutely.
Yeah, my familiarity with the Redcap, like I know about them and stuff, like just generally. I think I've definitely used them before in D&D. My main association with them now is from a book by Holly Black called The Cold Prince. And the premise, like the intro bit is this Redcap murders a family, like the protagonist's like parents.
Sure. As they
and and like adopts the protagonist because she is the daughter of his ex or whatever. It's a little bit complicated or whatever. And basically he takes her back to Fairy and raises her.
So sort of like a Rumpelstiltskin sort of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked too. It's like it's like a pretty fucked up story. I think it's a pretty good book series too. It's like pretty well written and really delves into a lot of fairy stuff. If people like want inspiration for like writing a fairy campaign, I think it's a pretty good series for it.
As Greg would say, fucking fae.
Yep, fucking fae.
I do really love these because they can kind of show up anywhere. Like when I used this very recently, I just used it as like a crazed gnome gardener in these kind of cursed woods he was like growing these psychedelic mushrooms that were also like infesting people if they like took too many of them. And so the adventurers kind of went out to find out what was happening and what this gardener was doing in the woods. And it was just a Redcap stat block, which was really easy to run, and it was fun, and it was dangerous because they are vicious little things.
That's really
especially at low levels, they can really screw some people up.
That's a really cool premise. Is that for the one that we were talking about before? The
Northwood. Yeah,
the Northwood. That's cool.
Yeah, they were sent to this village in the agricultural district of the town or the city to see, because there's like a reported crack in the wall, but the person who reported the crack died of some sort of like fungal infection after the report was given. And so they all went to the town. Things were weird. Lots of people had these like weird little mushrooms growing out of their mouths. And one of the shopkeepers were like, yeah, there's like this guy who's selling a bunch of these kind of like mushroom drugs that like really makes, living this hard life that we live easier, but it also has been killing a bunch of the townsfolk, and people call him the gardener, and he's out in the woods. And so they had to go out into the woods to both fix the wall, and then kind of ran across this other guy and decided whether or not they wanted to stop him, kind of thing.
That episode was brought to you by The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there may have been a little bit of Last of Us influence in that one too. I was like, one of my players was like, oh, I just really want hijinks, and I was like, great, let's do like some sort of psychedelic mushroom episode. And then it really turned into like, there's spores infecting this population, you have to go stop it.
I want hijinks. Okay, mushrooms are growing from the inside of people.
Yeah, I think
for unexplained reasons.
I think I've been doing horror for too long because I have a hard time pivoting back into hijinks.
I mean, also you have to think like the premise that you just set up is not like fun hijinks. It's like this community has been ravaged by this drug because they have to escape their horrible lives. Like,
yeah, well, it didn't start out that way. It was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if they like went to the woods and they went on this like weird sort of like Alice in Wonderland psychedelic mushroom trip, and then it just sort of, I ran out of prep time and I sort of started doing some stuff that I could prep a little bit easier, and it ended up being just a classic kind of situation.
It is interesting how like if you don't have enough prep, it's really easy to fall back on like really dark stuff because it's like, this is easy, like this is sad and horrible, let's fall back on this.
Yeah, it's easier to have emotional resonance if you're like, this town, it's not doing well, and everyone's like, oh no, this town,
we better help. That's like that's like it's easier to write a drama than it is to write a comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens in improv class too. Like, you can always tell a new improviser when they I call it grimprov, where they just like go really dark with it, and you're like, oh no, this isn't funny or fun to watch.
Yeah.
So,
God, the episode, it was about Redcaps, I think.
Yeah. Let's pivot back to Redcaps.
Well, yeah, Redcaps are mischievous, but also really dark and scary.
Because they are also that grim dark, yeah. As is tradition, because this is a creature that goes into any setting you really want, but let's talk about it from a D&D 5th edition setting. And I just wanted to kind of go through the stat block real quick. This is one that was featured, I think, in Volo's Guide to Monsters originally, and then or it could have been the original Monster Manual. I don't recall. Anyway, it was quote unquote updated during the Mordecaian's monsters. The update is absolutely no changes to this monster.
The update is no changes.
Yeah, but it was reprinted.
New art.
So it's oh yeah. No, not even new art, actually.
Oh, okay.
They needed to fill a page.
Yeah. So they are small fae. Typically, actually, that is the update. I think it said typically instead of just straight up chaotic evil. Typically chaotic evil. AC 14, hit points 45, speed 25, and an initiative +1. They are a challenge rating of 3. And their moves are as follows. They've got Iron Boots. While moving, the Redcap has disadvantage. Well, this isn't a move, but it's a feature.
It's a disadvantage.
Yeah. While moving, they have disadvantage at Dex stealth checks and outsized strength. While grappling, the Redcap is considered to be medium. Also, wielding a heavy weapon doesn't impose disadvantage on its attack rolls, which that is something that I think a lot of people do forget about. If you are a small creature and you have a heavy weapon, you got disadvantage of them attack rolls.
Yep.
In general, its attacks or its actions are multi-attack. It makes 3 attacks with its Wicked Sickle, which is a melee weapon, +6 to hit, reach of 5 and 1 target, and an average of 9 slashing damage. But instead of doing that multi-attack, you could do Ironbound Pursuit. It moves up to its speed to a creature it can see, so that's 25 feet, and kicks with its iron boots. The target must succeed a DC 14 Dex save or take an average of 20, that's 3d10 plus 4 bludgeoning damage, and be knocked prone. So it just runs up and kicks you in the shins.
The thing that I love about this monster is that it is very versatile. Like, you can use it in a serious way of like, oh, this is like a unreasoning, chaotic creature that is just like ripping people apart. It's also like a super funny creature. Like, it is a small little guy that is running around, and one of its biggest attacks is that it runs at you and then just bashes your shins. It's kind of like stupid in a fun way. But it also it's very versatile in that it can be the leader of creatures. Like, I used it as this gardener who also had these kind of fungal monsters that came out as well. But then also it can be used in its like description, it can be used as sort of like a pack of these things that are created by either like an evil wizard or like a murderer who keeps murdering, and they keep kind of coming out of those actions and all following him because they're like, wow, this guy's great, he murders all the time.
Yep.
So they can kind of stay with you in a campaign from the very early levels where maybe your group is taking on one of these, which is what my group did. 4 level 2s attacked this thing. It almost killed one of them in one hit, and then they sort of dealt with it. But or later in campaigns, you can use this as sort of the minions of a bigger creature, and it still is a lot of fun, and they can do a lot of damage really quickly if you're not careful.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about how this is a slasher monster, and suddenly I was kind of it's kind of early on in my part of the day. I woke up a little later than I wanted to, and my brain was not going at full speed. I realized I actually did use this as a slasher monster for a murder mystery already in a campaign like 4 years ago, God, pre-COVID times for sure.
Yeah.
And essentially it was a very dense city. The group were hired by a Sherlockian-esque tabaxi.
Murloc Holmes.
Yeah. Furlock Holmes, please, or Purlock Holmes. He was just... there's this Sherlock sort of TTRPG where you're playing as like Sherlock's little network, and there are these newspapers. I don't know if anyone's played it. I think it's just called Sherlock. It's a lot of fun. I literally wholesale stole a lot of it, but I created my own version of the newspaper for this city, and they were kind of going through the leads, and It was a lot of fun, and the culprit was a redcap who was in the employ of a hag, which is one of their frequent employers. If a redcap does, according to the 5e lore, 5e lore rather, they will often work with hags if they're to work with anyone. And that the whole thing was just them kind of finding this guy, and every time that they thought they had maybe dispatched him, he would pop right back up and like come at them, very much like a slasher, just kind of this unstoppable little crazy thing. He would also just run away a lot, a lot easier.
I think people should make their monsters run away more often.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, well, I think actually that brings to mind the time that I used the red cap, which
we
was
both got up late.
yeah, I think I used it when you guys first landed in the 13 Islands and you fought the there was the stat block is Smiler to define the Defiler, but I called him the Grinner, and he was working. It was like a Fey sort of creature. He was kind of like a leader, and then his foot soldiers were Redcaps.
Yes,
and he ran away from you guys, and then would like come back intermittently with a couple of other like losers, I guess, yeah, like other people who managed to run away from you guys, like that wizard that kept teleporting away from you.
Fucker.
Yeah. And so like they would like team up or whatever, or that Oni that you turned into a duck, Nick.
Yeah.
He was also part of that like little crew of infinite losers.
Yeah, I remember you kind of had like a Sinister Six sort of thing going on.
Yeah. Just kind of, that's also like a fun thing to do. It's like, hey, you remember this guy? Now you're a lot stronger than them.
Yeah, and they met, and they now are working together.
Yeah, they're somehow working together.
They both don't like you, so they're like, hey, let's work together.
Yeah, I think the main thing from the red cap that I got from that is just the fact that it has 3 attacks.
Yeah,
which can be very devastating to any creature, and I think that that sort of like kick shin attack is very like that family of attacks is really fun to use, like a pounce attack basically. It's like if you, especially with like beasts and stuff like lions or whatever, if you have some kind of like pounce attack, or you just want to add that to a creature, it can make it very like, I think that's kind of like a slasher feel too. It's just like he sees you and he beelines for you and he just cuts you up.
Well, the thing about this stat block that I really like is that you can reskin this guy in like a bunch of different ways, where you just throw, Ghostface or Jason Voorhees or, any one of the slashers onto this red cap stat block. It's a little bit slower than the players, so the players can always kind of get away.
Yep.
It's 25 feet. It has really strong like run and then hit you attack, like you were saying, Franco. The pounce attack can, like for low level characters, can just kill them right away. Just done. And then that multi attack also, if they like surround it and try to martially like destroy it, it can basically just start attacking multiple people at once and do, again, for lower levels, it can do like half of your total hit points each attack and hit 3 people.
Yeah.
So it can feel like a really big walking threat. And just by reskinning it, it can really change into what you were saying about like kind of slasher-ish.
I have a kind of a question. I don't know about like I guess about like balance, but since a red cap has 3 attacks, like what would you think of like making it kind of like a legendary monster, giving it 2 legendary actions to do the other 2 attacks? So just on its turn, it does like a single attack, and then it has 2 legendary actions, or 2 legendary points or whatever. I
feel like
twice.
Right now the way that it balances itself is it can do the multi-attack, or it can do that huge damage pile, but it can't do both at the same time.
Yeah,
sure.
And so like you're always sort of figuring out like, do I think that this creature would be trying to deal lots of damage to lots of different things, or is it just focusing in on one and just trying to smash it? Because if that's the case, you have one of 2 options. I think by giving it legendary actions to keep attacking, you could like spreading it out could make it like very thematically very fun. Like if something stays and tries to fight it, that it just is like, okay, it's gonna start killing you then, because you didn't get away from it. That could be a lot of fun. I would also say like, if you have a bigger group, so like 4 people or more, giving it a legendary action to just take one of its other attacks as well as doing the big attack might also be balanced, because like in my group, I got one really good hit off and it had 2 minions that were also distracting them. And it survived a couple rounds, but it really only did that one big damage. And then it started trying to attack and they just kind of swarmed it and got rid of it before it really could do damage. So I don't know. I think that like all monsters and all CRs, even if it's a deadly encounter, if they really focus fire, it's going to be done.
Yeah, I would say if you wanted to heighten the threat of it, you have to do the HP bloat.
Sure.
And also raise its AC a bit. I mean, it's an AC 14, only 45 hit points on average. You know, that at lower levels, the AC is nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, like AC 14, anyone can hit that even at level 1. But 45 might take a little while to chip a few attacks at lower levels, but it's just such a fairly low. So having them have allies or giving them HP bloat or, you know, really giving them ways to escape. I mean, that 25 movement speed can be really intimidating, you know, because again, like you said, they are lumbering after you. You can get away, but you know, if you really set that, you know, you're in very tight quarters. You don't know where you are really in this maze of sewer tunnels, and you're just trying to survive at this point. You know, that could be very scary, especially if the party did what every single one of my parties seems to do and split themselves up. I would 100% have this guy pop out of the water at that one person, Daniel, who is by himself. Daniel.
You could even give it like regeneration instead of doing HP bloat by just saying like at the end of each round it regains 9 hit points or something.
Very nice.
Oh, if it doesn't, every round that it like gets a hit off and like splashes blood onto itself from you or something like that.
Even better.
Yeah,
that is how it sustains itself. Absolutely.
Yeah, you could say like it takes 1/4 of the damage it deals and then regenerates that much hit points or something like that. So if it does the big thing, then it's going to get 5 hit points back. But if it does the small thing, it's going to get 6 or something because it's doing a bunch more hits.
And I think with the they lack subtlety as one of the key descriptor points, and those iron boots, I think you can really lean into having them stalk people too, especially if they can't see it but they hear the iron boots. You can really lean into a lot of that horror element.
Also, these iron boots are very fun as a custom magic item that you can give your players afterwards.
Interesting.
I had the people killed the gardener and then they were like, I want to take those boots, those really screwed up one of our guys. And I was like, okay, they're really small, but yeah, you can stuff your feet into them. And I was like, it reduces your movement speed by this much. It allows you to do this attack once per long rest, essentially.
Wow.
And so you just give it to them as a magic item. It's pretty fun.
That's a lot of fun. I like that.
I actually think that is something that I'm going to try to do more for magic items instead of giving them, a +2 rapier or something that's just going to change the balance of the game, like going forward forever. Being like, yeah, you just killed this, ogre and you like take its club or maybe you like skin it to make armor or something, and that gives you a feature of hey, what are you talking about? Like, it's skinning a dragon.
It's very humanoid. I know, but it's very humanoid.
Yeah, it's very human shaped.
Let's say
I would wear a Shrek cloak. Don't get me wrong, but that's for other reasons.
For a long rest, you can say donkey. No,
you're just covered in onion skin.
It's like the beard of dwarven kind or whatever, where every like sunrise you can grow a beard. It's like every sunrise you can start peeling like an onion. But no, I'm just saying that like you can take a monster and take one of its more interesting effects or like its custom thing and say like, this thing that you've made out of the monster, allows you to do that thing once per long rest. And I don't feel like that's too game breaky because it's like, you know, just like an extra feature or something.
Yeah, I mean, like +1 swords are very boring, right?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
It's just like it's like all it does is this.
A cape of billowing any day over a
sword. Those are really fun. I remember that that spear that I gave you in the last game that we played, and it was like cursed. And it's like it turns back around on you if you throw it.
That was awesome. I did love that.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot to be said, but that's a different episode. About magic item creation.
So with the red cap, one of the other things I just kind of was thinking a little bit about, and this is bloodthirsty mercenaries. Mm-hmm. So I love the idea of just having them be employed by people. Mm-hmm. And they are perfect for like enforcers.
Yeah.
Of something. Well, actually, I say they're perfect for enforcers, but the trouble is they need to be paid according to their lore. Of course, you can change whatever you want. We've certainly talked about that already. But they need to be paid in victims.
Yeah.
So you need to kind of like, that could create an interesting dichotomy, though, because you could easily have like, you know, this is an enforcer, and you know, this now creates kind of like two solutions for your crime boss. I need someone who can break a kneecap. No problem, boss. I got iron boots.
Yeah.
And maybe getting up there, but the other problem is I need someone to kill this person. Great. I will do it in the same night. I'll break the boots. You give me the person. Done.
It's sort of like, you know, since Eberron is so like mob kind of oriented, you could have Redcaps just be the like hitmen of the of one of the factions or something.
I just had this idea.
Yeah.
I just had this idea where you could have like the sort of the enforcer or whatever is like an ogre brings around a redcap.
Yeah.
And then like the victims just think like, oh shit, that ogre's gonna fuck me up, and then he just brings out this red cap and holds up the red cap to your kneecaps.
Or just has like a little like kennel and like opens the cage and a red cap jumps out.
Yeah. Oh,
I was also thinking it would be like, what a fun thing to do. It depends on your players as always, but like if you have a Pact of the Archfey warlock on the thing and they do a find familiar for the first time, and like a red cap crawls out of the ground and is like, yeah, I'm here, but remember, you got to pay me this certain way.
Can you get our red caps a legit
Conjure
familiar?
Fey, I think could do it. Conjure Fey could. I need to double check that, but I actually just kind of bring back on that what I was saying with my little when I ran the red cap last. The hag was, of course, its true
owner.
Oh yeah, I mean the person who would employer is the word that I was looking for. Capitalism is awful. Anyway, anyway, this hag was the employer, but the Sherlock Holmes character somehow had some cultish-esque dealings, and essentially the guards pinned the red cap on him as something that he summoned as a Conjure Fey. And my party just let that happen because they decided they didn't really like that Sherlock character too much. And
whoops.
Parties can be fickle, man.
To be fair, also to them, they have a lot of other problems to deal with. So, exonerating that guy not high on the list. But I think that even if it's not a Conjure Fey and it is a find familiar, it could be just like a story moment before they get their true familiar of like kind of demonstrating to everybody the fickleness of the Fae and like how weird and like foreign their understanding is of what people want. So you're like, I want a familiar, and then your packed person is like, yeah, okay, here's a red cap. Those are cool, right? And then you're like, oh no.
Here, we don't want this guy around right now. So.
Yeah, he's such a bummer at parties.
Yeah. So you summon a Fae creature of challenge rating 6 or lower, and this is a CR3. So technically, This does fit into that category, although, yeah.
Yeah, I think that it would be fun. I think that it's like one of those like careful what you want, like ask for because you just might get it sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Could be fun.
Yeah, could be fun. So we are kind of wrapping up on this.
We're coming towards the end here. Any other last thoughts about, Redcaps or fey creatures of low CR that you can use? Because I do also feel like this is one of the first, like, truly foreign fae that you can throw into a campaign as, like, something that they have to deal with. Because I'm not really familiar with... I tend not to use a lot of fae, but this one feels like very much like this is your entry level into, like, a weird fairy tale campaign.
Yeah, it's... The thing about the fairies in 5e is that I feel like there aren't enough of them. Like there's kind of like a lot of low level ones, and then there's a couple of like higher level ones, but like not a lot of stuff in between.
Yeah.
But
is the Doulahan a
Yeah.
fae?
It's technically an undead.
Or aberration or whatever.
There's kind of a lot of weird ones,
Yeah. Well, I would say since you did ask, as far as like entry level fae, boggles are a good one.
Yeah.
And of course pixies and sprites are pretty half level, but are pretty small.
But I want a murderous fae. I want a fae that scares them. Which ones?
The boggles could be scary, but darklings are kind of where if you want to get it even earlier, they're only a half CR.
Yeah. Are they where they like take on the shape of the party, but they're sort of like shadowy creatures kind of thing?
Yeah, so they don't take on the shape of the party or anything, but they're from a Seelie court that betrayed the Summer Queen. And the Summer Queen's wrath, she cursed every member of the house. Seelie Faye's true name has been stricken from history, but the stories call him Dub Katha or Dark Crow in common. And other Fae refer to the house's descendants as Dub Sith.
Dubstep.
I know, and I know that my Gaelic pronunciations are wrong there, but or Darklings. Darklings dwell in secluded caverns and chambers beneath the towns and other species. From such enclaves, they quietly ply their trade as thieves and assassins. So they have what's kind of nice is a little move called Death Flash. It's not a move, but feature. When the Darkling dies, non-magical light flashes out from it in a 10-foot radius as its body and possessions other than metal or magic objects burn to ash. Any creature in the area that's able to see the bright light must succeed on a DC 10 save or be blinded until the end of the creature's next turn. So it's just kind of a fun way to, like if you have a group of them.
Yeah.
Oh, our ally just died, but now you're blinded.
Yeah.
We're going to kill you even harder.
And there's also so in Monster of the Week, one of the pre-written like starter mysteries that's in the book is actually a Redcap encounter as well. It's like it's called like the Summer Court or something, and essentially it's Oberon trying to come into the world and establish his Fey court. And how he is doing that is by unleashing two fey creatures, and one of them is the Redcap, and it's like pre-built monster in there as well. So if you're like, I'm really into this type of thing, but don't want to do it in D&D, it's actually a really easy port to other systems. A lot of other systems have kind of a facsimile of it as well, and Monster of the Week is a really great place to start. So for those of you playing the tabletop drinking game at home, I did just mention Monster of the Week. Everyone can take a shot.
There we go.
Anything else before we close?
No, I think definitely run these little guys and make them horrible, horrible murderers in your game.
Yeah, get your hats on and dip them in blood and have a good time.
All right.
That's right.
Thanks, everyone, to listening to Tabletop. Tabletop is a proud member of the Helios Network, a collection of great podcasts made by regular people. You can all see what that's all about by visiting theheliosnetwork.com to check out some of the really cool merch and to check out other amazing shows like Banter and Such, one of the shows that got me into the Helios Network. They all are really great, but it's a good place to start as well. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week for an interview with the Rainbow Dice Club. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
cool people. Do you like mead, magic, and long walks in the icy tundra? Ever wonder what your sled dogs are thinking about? Why not cap off your night with a frosty tabletop adventure?
You will come to love my beef cliff.
You're at the common room. Go to your room.
Excuse us.
Excuse me, Dolcliff. What's your favorite food?
Sausages, probably.
No, you look like a strong lot, but I've got more friends than you.
Carnelian's like short and on the ground, and he's standing on
You
top
know
of the table.
what you have to
You
do.
know what you have to do.
Carnelian stabs him in the butt.
What did he say?
He likes sausages.
Oh my god, me too!
Alright, I'll sit beside Word and start carving his rod.
Oh my god. Sveta, my rod's nearing completion by the looks of things.
Unless the four of you can stop them.
Well, grab your Ugg boots and join Reflex Save every Wednesday on your favorite podcast platform.
Hey, I'm Brando.
And I'm Owen.
And we're the hosts of Banter and Such.
Each week we get together with the most interesting people that we know and talk about the things that we're generally interested in.
Like movies.
TV shows.
Movies.
Nostalgic childhood franchises.
Movies.
Urban legends.
And sometimes movies.
So check out Banter and Such anywhere you get podcasts.
Banter, ampersand, such.
Or Banter and then the word and then such.
Or just Banter and it fills in the rest automatically for you and you just click on it.
Either way, it's called Banter and Such.
Want to get into some BS with us?